Brainiac had returned. For years, he'd been stealing the powers of Earth's protectors, but we were too busy fighting amongst ourselves to see the danger. With you three dead, Brainiac quickly eliminated the remaining heroes. The lucky ones died fighting. Finally, I alone survived, a rat in the walls of the Brainiac construct. I have traveled through time to warn you. This is my past, but your future. And it means the end of humanity, so together, we must change it!
What have you done, Luthor?
Given you a fighting chance.
He's lying. It's some kind of trap. Why should we trust you?
Because if you don't, Earth is doomed.
DC Universe Online. I spent over 15 years of my life on this game, from the beta in 2008 to 2023. This game has so much history from the players and the world itself, and has evolved a lot since then. So I think it's about time this game got the video it deserves. Hello, my name is Chocobites, and welcome to the DC Universe Online Deep Dive. What's up, y'all? So honestly, I haven't played this game seriously in about 2 years, but I can remember mostly everything about it, even pre-vamp. Currently, my main is at 420 combat rating, and I have the world record speedrun for levels 1 to 30. Now to start this video off, I want to split it off into sections of what I'm going to be talking about, since this video will be extremely long. Now in order is going to go powers and weapons, the revamp, main story and missions, including the map, PvE, and PvE, leagues, and special events, all while in between showing you interviews with old players on each of these subjects. So sit back, make sure you have a good meal, and let's get into the vast world of DC Universe Online. Released in January 2011 by Sony Online Entertainment, DC Universe Online is a long-running free-to-play MMO set in the DC Comics universe, developed by Dimensional Ink Games and known for its action-oriented combat. Designed by Jim Lee and Geoff Johns, the game features playing creating custom characters, heroes or villains, and has been on every console from PS3, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, PS5, and Xbox Series XS. Now, the beta started on PC in 2009, and I played it back then too when I was a little kid, and I remember like so many things were different. Like brawling was different, like the weapons, what they were, because it was still in the beta phase. And now when it released, a lot of things were different. When I played it again, it made it pretty exciting. Now it was subscription based first when you first got this game, but they kind of honestly quickly transitioned it to be free to play, and just, you know, had in-game currency stuff that you can buy, and that's how they made their money. The game expanded to PlayStation 4 in 2013, in 2016, Xbox One, 2019, the Switch, and then 5 and so on in 2024. Now, the big thing about it was the ownership change. I remember this vividly. Now, it was originally created by Sony Online Entertainment, but the studio was rebranded to Daybreak Games Company, and later, development responsibility moved to Dimensional Ink Games, a studio within Daybreak family. Now, the story of the game, the narrative initiated by like Lex Luthor or future Lex Luthor, is bringing Brainiac tech back in time to empower humans via the exobytes. Actually, I'll let him explain it.
I've stolen Brainiac's exobytes and released them into Earth's atmosphere. They hold the powers stolen from the heroes and villains of my time, and will bestow them on anyone they contact. The exobytes will create a new breed of superhuman to fight Brainiac's invasion. You must teach them to use their new abilities, for they must be on the front line in the coming battle, or my grim future will become your own.
Now that you have a general understanding of the story of the game, let's get into the powers. Now I'm going to talk about the powers in order from tank role, healer role, and then troll roll. With that being said, let's start with fire. Now, before the showcase, I'm going to explain the power. First up is fire. Fire is a tank class power, and to clarify, any power can be a DPS class. Fire uses its power to regenerate to tank instead of shielding. Like other classes, and on the DPS side, it has a lot of dot damage potential, damage over time. Basically, it's a solid option now at upper levels with artifacts. You can become almost unkillable, but we'll talk about artifacts later. But its most famous move is Flame Cascade post revamp. To sum it up, fire is a solid pick, where you go DPS or tank class, while for some others it's not the same. With that being said, let's get into the showcase. So with fire, the main thing that you want to focus on is keeping damage alive. Yes, that's with every power, but especially fire, because dot damage over time is what makes it count. As you see, the burning effect on the sparring target makes it so damage is happening all the time. Even when you're in tank role, you still do a bit of fire damage. Mostly it's going to be weapon, but you also do some overtime damage. Now, with that being said, there's also effects. So starting out, if you hit an enemy, you burn them. Now, other moves have additional effects. Hence, once you burn an enemy, said action of the other move will also proc, which could be additional damage, more burn damage, or a whole nother effect entirely. When it comes to tanking with fire, you are seriously just healing yourself. Fire has one shield move, and that's about it. The other ones are healing moves. One of them, when you get hit, it heals you for every like weapon hit that you get hit with, or every damage you take. The other one is just a baseline heal. It heals you just greatly over time, and that's kind of like your main move for tanking. Tanks also have pool moves, and well, two types of pool moves: AoEs and single target. As you will see with this list, with some of these moves, you're going to see the pull, or the target gets pulled in. That's going to happen for almost every tank role, because that's the job of the tank. They taunt enemies and pull them towards them so they don't focus on everybody else. With that being said, as you can see, tank is a very cool and solid option. On the DPS side of things, you kind of just keep damage rolling as much as you can, and it's kind of spammy in a way, but people like that. You know what I'm saying? Fire, you just want to burn stuff. You're not there to just mess around. You're trying to literally destroy everything that you see. And I think that's a cool thing about fire too. As you see with the effects, it kind of gives you that feeling of being very powerful, just being a huge big fireball. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of people who create like fire heroes, like Endeavor from My Hero or Ace from One Piece, and it actually feels like it. So I think they did very well with effects here. Fire used to look like this, funny enough, but now it looks like this, which is pretty cool. I remember missing the old style, but honestly, not so much anymore. In all, I remember fire being a very solid choice. It's one of the free powers, and just one that was practically easy to get into, even with tanking. Since it wasn't like a lot of shield, it was just a lot of self-healing. With that being said, let's actually get into our first interview. So this first interview is somebody I found on Reddit. I think all of them were going to be from Reddit. So they've been playing since the beta 2 and everything, and we talked about a whole lot. I'm going to put up a time frame to where the interview has stopped, because this interview will be 20 minutes long or something along that lines. So if you don't want to listen to the interview in full, I will put a timestamp here so you can just skip ahead to this spot and we'll continue with the next power. With that being said, let's start our first interview.
How's it going? I go by Gold Buff. My character in game was, well, I had a bunch. Definitely suffered from altitis, but one of the ones I spent a lot of time on was Naiad Cove. And I've played a lot of different roles. My main originally started out as a controller, gadgets actually. And then at some point, I eventually switched to a support class. I think, I bounced around between nature and sorcery. Celestial when it came out, and then at some point I think I just decided, you know what, I'm just gonna stick on healer. I like it more, and then I never went back to controller. And from there, I just continued to bounce around. I think the power respect tokens, they made a lot of money off of me with those things.
As a person with a lot of different characters, definitely spent way too much on changing my power every
Yeah,
3 months or so.
yeah,
But it was fun though. As a healer main, as you healing is very hard. Like you're not looking at the gameplay, you're kind of just looking at the health bar for
mhm,
like 90% of the raid sometimes.
yeah, yeah. I would say it's. I mean, the controller role itself, I think, has evolved a lot over time.
Definitely.
Um, and same with healer, I think, in the sense that we've just gotten to a point where support roles in general don't seem to be needed for a lot of content. People just can tank or not tank, just kill everything, DPS through it without necessarily needing the roles, especially since they had added in that passive where if you're missing one of the roles, the game would give it to you. Um, but I don't know. I feel like healing in DCO compared to especially other MMOs isn't as difficult because you don't really have to aim your healing. I mean,
No.
yes, there might be certain like sorcery or water, healing field you put on the ground, but you don't have to target anyone. It just kind of auto selects the person for you. So there's definitely been times where I'm playing the game with one hand while I'm eating or on my phone and people are alive.
I'm not
But
gonna lie
I
to you. I have
understand.
to. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I definitely have to. I, I used to have a sub I get from my local market, and we would
Yeah.
do the Olympus raid. I kid
Yeah.
you not, I did not move until we got to Zeus. I
Yeah.
did not.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's fun though, but that's not the most optimal way to play. I mean, there are definitely
No.
times where I want to contribute as much as possible. So I'm DPSing maybe sometimes more than I should be healing, but it's about what's fun for you. And sometimes you go back and forth between I want to eat a slice of pizza while I spam a heal every now and then, or I want to be right next to the DPS trying to keep up with them on the scoreboard.
Yep. That's always fun. Look at this. Oh my god, scoreboards back then is so much different
Yeah,
than how people look at them now. Now they just be
yeah,
fraudulent, but back then you had to put in some real, like the perfect rotation and all this other
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, yeah. I was definitely, because I don't just do the support role. I would always build up both gear sets. I would focus more on back when I was a controller. I'd make sure the vendor gear I bought was for the controller role. Same thing with healer, but then I would
Definitely.
still make sure I'm, you know, getting DPS gear as well. And yeah, I would always try to be the number one DPS and the whether it was an alert, duo, raid. I was always keeping an eye on that.
Okay, so as we see, you've been playing for a long time, or you have played
Yes.
for a long time. So, what do you like about the game? Like, what kept you there for so long and drawn you to it?
Well, I think I was always a big fan of MMOs. I mean, I played WoW. I played City of Heroes, which was
Hey,
yeah, one of the other big superhero games at the time. And what always drew me to any of the games was the ability to just create something unique. It's not a custom, it's not a pre-made character. With let's say a traditional RPG where you have to play this character like everyone else. You can design their appearance, their outfit, their powers, how they look, feel, and play, and that's always been something that's interested me. So I
okay,
think DCO
customization.
had a lot of customization. I think honestly, to this day, I would say one of the perhaps most generous styling options in a lot of games. You have to pay to change your outfit, or it's very clunky. DCO, you can just immediately switch between styles, and ever since they added armories, it's been even easier.
Okay, but yeah, I agree with that take too. DC Universe Online, the amount of characters people make in this game. I mean, like I'm currently like Frankie. in the game from One Piece. So like you can just be anybody, and that's a
Yeah.
nice appeal too, especially growing up on the game as a kid. It's like being an
Yeah.
adult. Like this was the game if you were like super nerdy, like did a lot of hero stuff, anime stuff,
Yep.
anything of that sort. Now,
Yeah. Yeah.
what do you dislike about the game? And be full honest.
Mm. Well, where do I start? I would say that I was somebody that got more so invested in the game through PvP. I remember I was originally a hero. And then one day I was traveling through Metropolis, and this was back when there were servers. I
Oh
was on
yeah.
Countdown. And I remember passing through Star Labs, and I ran into, which I didn't know at the time was Fight Club. And I remember
Yep.
getting ganked and killed by the villains, and it kept happening so many times to the point where I switched over because I did have, I had a bunch of ults, and I did have a villain that was level 30. So I went over there, and I think maybe at the time I didn't even know how to enter the chat channel to communicate, with heroes and villains. What
Yep.
is it? Versus? Is that what it's
It's
called?
yeah, it's like the versus chat, the red text.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't know what I was doing. So I just went over there and I just confronted the person. I was a kid. I didn't have a lot of maturity. And
Yeah.
uh, after that, that's when I switched to villain. That's when I made my friend group, and I would just sit out there every day with them, and we would, fight those turf battles over who's controlling Star Labs. And so PvP open world was a big thing for me, as well as instance PvP. Duos, arenas, 2v2s, arenas. Um, and so the PvP direction was very important for me. And the way the game developers treated PvP became very concerning over time
Yeah.
as it became more unbalanced and just really questionable choices, a lot of powers that were left untouched that were, in my opinion, broken. Now, I would say even to this day, I'm not going to pretend that I know what's best balancing wise. I just know what felt fun and what felt unfair for me. So, for example, the polymorph
Yeah.
cheating where you would basically get stun locked into a dog by the sorcery players. That was corny. Um, the I honestly I wasn't a huge opponent of rock paper scissors. I think it brought something unique, but it also wasn't super satisfying that you just would basically automatically lose against your counter. It felt,
Yeah.
but I think it was around the time they introduced the checkmate gear, the PvP gear. That's when I feel like I remember things getting really bad balance wise.
Yeah,
It was
cause
the whole loot box kind of thing to get gear and mark.
yeah, and there was even a period of like PvP gear was stronger than the PvE gear, and then people start boxing with PvE gear. I'm like, whoa,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
that's not what this is for. But why is it so much stronger? And
Yeah,
now it's just
there was too much getting added on the PvE, and that they just weren't accounting for how it would affect the PvP balance. But then eventually got to the point where they just abandoned. Um,
yes, fully
there's no
abandoned it.
development happening. The developers, I mean, I would say I was definitely active in regular PvP. I always had the latest gear. But I also was a huge Legends player. And when
Me
if I
too.
do log, yeah, if I do log into the game and I want a PvP nowadays, it's gonna be I'll queue up a 1v1, like a layer 1v1, a Batcave 1v1 Legends, and I'll do that. And because you kind of know what to expect, everything's kind of standardized in there. But even that feels kind of strange, honestly. But the developers, I mean, I don't know if you remember the guy Clutchmeister. He was from PC.
Yes, I
Um,
do.
yeah, he and who is I can't remember the name of the developer at the time. If you
I
said his name,
I know
I'd ring
Fable
a bell.
One Orbit was around a lot back in those days too. Like he
He
was
was the
some of the
guy in charge
bosses.
of balancing. I don't know if it was all PvP or just Legends. It'd probably be all PvP because I doubt they had the resources to have two different teams. But yeah, I just remember the arguments, and I think a lot of games they have this disconnect where like the top players maybe understand the game a little bit better than they do, and they offer suggestions and balancing things, and the developers typically don't take that advice, and then things just kind of get out of hand. Like it was Steel, the Steel mine spam when they would
Yeah.
do tournaments, and all kinds of just broken things that just would not get fixed, and they'd be left that way when people would spend money to buy the character or buy the broken power set, and it just hurt the trust between the players and the team. So I think PvP is my number one thing that I think they had such a unique act. The combat in DCO is one of the best parts of it,
It is
and
so fun.
the PvP was, I think, one of the best things. And so for them to have abandoned it, and even to this day, I mean, you go in the PvP section of the forums and the tumbleweeds just kind of roll through. There's nothing happening,
Wow.
and it's strange because you see in PvE they have all these NPCs they've added, and they could easily port those into Legends to revive
Right?
that. And I think there's also players definitely the PvE players that almost seem to celebrate the demise of PvP. They are happy that there's no resource or time going into it. And my whole thing is, if you don't like it, just don't play it.
Yeah, you don't
But
have
you're
to
never going to see
downplay the
me.
other one.
Yeah, you're not going to see me celebrating that someone else is losing a part of the game that they really liked. And they claim the PvP players weren't bringing in money, but that's not true.
That
The
is
PvP,
opposite. Honestly, we were bringing in
yeah,
the most money with the artifact,
yeah,
especially when artifacts dropped.
yeah.
Oh, that
The
was a whole
PvP
thing.
players needed every edge they could get. So skill points. I mean, we're going to be running. The PvP players were the ones running content at
Hmm.
the highest level, getting all the feats so they can use those feats to have the advantage over everyone else,
Yep.
having the best gear. So I mean that's not true. And I get the last lap DLC was kind of a bomb, but I mean it also wasn't great content. So I don't think accounting for it being a failure just because it was PvP based instead of reflecting on what kind of maps and content they designed and how that wasn't fun. I just think we kind of got blamed unfairly for that. So I'd
Yeah.
say PvP is my number one dislike of the game, the way they've handled it. But then the monetization that has just gotten
Oh
crazy,
Lord, there's so much
crazy over the
money.
years.
Like
Yeah,
there's so much money that's being spent on DC Universe Online that the stuff should either be free or more accessible instead of have to pay.
yeah,
And people always expect the game's gonna die, but it's like gambling because it's like at this point,
yeah,
these people are not going to stop paying for this stuff they've been paying for years because it's like, oh, I can spend a little
yeah,
$10 this week. I can spend
yeah,
$10 this week, and now it's been years, and they probably spent like $600 on the game in like a
yeah,
year.
yeah,
And I mean, if they're happy, cool, but not everybody has the means to do that, and also it
yeah,
does make it pay to win, especially
yeah,
now. The artifacts that just happened now, like I just got back into it. Oh,
yeah.
dude, you don't understand. Somebody could sit there and you will kill yourself. Now, that's how PvP state is in now.
It's crazy. I mean, I remember something that just comes to mind is I remember when they were selling the aquarium. They still are for $5 on the marketplace. And so to think like back to something as simple as that, the aquarium being sold for $5, this base cosmetic item, to the stage we're at now where basically you can get anything from the marketplace. If you don't want to play the game, if you want to play the game via your credit card, they not only encourage it, but in some ways they require it, because if you aren't at the very top or the best of maybe it's CR or skill points or artifacts or whatever new mechanic they've added that isn't really gameplay, it's just spending money, you're not necessarily going to get invited to groups and raids because someone else that is willing to open their wallet will take your spot.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, yeah, bar for what you said. Like, it's it's in a it's in its worst state when it comes to monetization.
Mhm.
Um, like people hoping for a revamp or like a change of the game entirely, like just start from scratch kind of thing,
Yeah.
which that would be the best outcome for us. But will we ever get that? there's no telling. We can only hope for the best.
Yeah. I mean, there was a time when, selling the seasonal currency in the marketplace was seen as controversial, but it's limited time, it's only the seasonal stuff, and now, I mean, you can buy currency for the latest episode.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just, and of course, I remember when replay badges were introduced. If I recall correctly, that was Tier 4 content. It was around like the Promethean boxes and the loot boxes, or the replay badges. I think that was around the time of like Gates and what was the other one? Gates and I can't remember the other raid with the
talking about Gates of Tardis and Tier 5
raid for the Cersei Olympus stuff. I thought there was.
I think that's tier 5 is like Hades and stuff, like the Gate of the Dead. I think that's what's called, the raid. I will have to
No,
check.
I'm thinking like where you start off and you have to activate the statues, and then eventually you go you're getting closer to the, was it the Hydra or something? Brainiac's trying to harness the magic.
Yes. The I don't remember the name. I know exactly what you're talking about though.
Yeah, but I think that was, and Earth had just come out. So I mean, replay badges were crazy because I mean, I remember loot reset, or the weekly reset was what, Thursday, if I recall back then.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that's the community was active and together because we all understood that we're all coming back around the same time because that's when the content resets. There's this sense of community. And then suddenly now it's, if I'm waiting till Thursday because I don't pay money, then that's fine for me. But meanwhile, maybe my league is all resetting the content and they're playing whenever they want. And it just kind of disjointed everything.
Yeah.
It separated everything. Then of course it introduces this, I can't think of the name to describe it right now. This sense of, if I'm missing out, if I don't spend money to be able to play the content with all my friends, my league that's unlocking the content, then I'm going to be left behind because
they're going to be so much stronger too.
Yeah, they're going to get to the end of the content faster than I am. So it kind of preys on people psychologically.
Yeah, it's definitely like predatory in terms of like the money scheme of it all, of like it puts you in a trap, and then other people feel like, well, if my league is doing it, I got to do it too.
So many friendships. I mean, I was one of those people that would be on like as long as possible, especially during summer breaks or winter breaks. I was spending a lot of time, talking with friends, playing content with friends, or just standing around.
Yeah, statues and Lil Bo warriors just standing around doing nothing all day.
I'll say though, I was never a Lil Bohemia statue, or I was standing around in my base, decorating. Yeah, or trying to duel people for fun.
I'm not gonna lie to you, I might have been a menace. I was an avid dueler. Like,
yeah,
I've beat up so many people, like so many. In terms of like, when I'm talking about like, I would be a healer fighting the tank for 3 hours, 4 hours. My max was like 6 hours straight. I was fighting somebody, and this is back in PS3 days. I think it was. I was that addicted to fighting on this game for some reason. Yeah.
I mean, I remember trying to pass time, like when you're, let's say, you're at an impasse with the boss, the group can't get it right, and then like somebody leaves and you're trying to find somebody and someone's like, yeah, I'll ask around. I remember dueling people in the raids, to pass time. Now, eventually that got removed because people were using that to exploit, but that was fun.
It was still fun. Like,
yeah. All right. I hope the rest of your interviews go well and people can share even more aspects of the game that maybe people that never got a chance to see it or forgot can, kind of reminisce all together about.
Definitely. But all right. Well, I will see you later.
All right. Take care.
So he wasn't an active player anymore, but he kept up with the forums and things that were going on in the game. As you can hear, he's very experienced. He was also there with the beta and everything, and a lot of things he was saying were true, with the good and the bads of the games. So if you hear repeats in that at other interviews, you probably will understand why, and you will see that pattern. With that being said, let's get into the next power. Next up is Ice. Ice is a tank role power that utilizes shields for tanking and burst damage for DPS. Ice is a top tier tanking power as it has 4 shields and can make you unkillable even against the most broken bosses. With that being said, its DPS is always been lacking in damage compared to the other powers at least. So it is a lower base DPS, but regardless, some people make it work. Now, let's get into the showcase. Now, as I was saying before, Ice is better as a tank than a DPS because it has 4 shields. When you shield in this game, you take no damage. As you can see, I will have about like 3 shield moves that I'm showing, and that's literally just your rotation throughout a raid or any kind of comp you're doing if you're a tank. It can get pretty boring, but overall, it's still strong. When it comes to the DPS side of things, it gets a little weird. See, Ice has the potential to do big numbers of damage, but you need a lot of setup for that. Hence, it has high burst damage. Its AoE side of damage or overtime damage, like tick damage like fire does, it's not really good at all. Even nowadays, Ice is still like a low DPS. I don't really see people using it or running it. However, with artifacts and stuff now, I wouldn't be surprised that there is somebody who was an Ice player who is very high up on the pedestal now. But back then and through the years, it's just always been more of a tank power. With that being said, I think it is pretty decent because it's not the best, but it's certainly not the worst. When it comes to the best and the worst of these roles in class, they really can make or break a raid or whatever mission you're doing. Hence, I kept so adamant about Ice being one of the best tanks. His shielding is just so good for just surviving even by yourself for like a full-on minute, while his DPS side is just lackluster. Now, starting off with Little Bohemia, this is like the hangout spot. Every hero and villain will 9 times out of 10 be hanging out here or the new House of Legends. But this has been the spot over the course of this game's entire lifespan. As you see, everybody's here. Even though people say the game's dead, it is very much alive. It has a very dedicated community. So when you're logging on this game, this will be the spot that a lot of statue players who just kind of show off their costume be at. And that's all you're going to really see here. A lot of duels and fighting. Over here is actually the first mission, Gorilla Grodd, if your mentor is Superman. The landscape has looked like this. They didn't really change anything in the past like years with this game with that, other than like some certain textures and looks of things, or like even boss models. But yeah, this is Little Bohemia. Now this area is kind of like on the same lines of beginner area, where all the missions here are like below level 10. This is your next mission, the bee queen bee mission, the hive mission. Again, pretty cool landscape. I kind of love the building detail and also how unique everything looks in this game. It feels so real. Like, it's to the point to whereas back in the day, people would just be in random spots in the maps having their own parties or having their own fights or training sessions. Many of times in the location coming up, I've had training sessions and trained a lot of people on how to use their loadout and powers and things like that. There's still hospital where the Dr. Psycho mission happens. Pretty straightforward mental hospital. Yeah, a lot of people, a lot of crazed soups escaped and things of that nature. Now, over here is actually where I used to train with my league when I was in Justice Kids. It's a very cool niche spot. I believe a lot of players do know about this spot in this section, kind of just don't care anymore. New players definitely don't. So this is like by the dam and kind of like the power plant. It's just around there, and it has a beach too connecting to it. It's just a lot of things going on over here that is just very cool visually. It is so stunning to like be back here. It's kind of nostalgic for me. I'm pretty sure it's nostalgic for a lot of you guys seeing this too. And everybody probably remember all the Flash tunes racing here to see who's the fastest. And I mean, that's just a throwback in itself. Now over here we have the Central Park, or like the main park. So Metropolis is kind of split up into like two sides. This is the bigger side where the park is. I'll pull up a map to show you how big Metropolis actually is and how many areas is in this one city. And the crazy part is Gotham is just as big, and they have so many other areas to visit, which hopefully I can explore in later videos. But right now, this is the other side of Metropolis. Very big, very massive. The scale is just unbelievable, and it makes you really feel like you're in this world. All these zones of like you see smoke coming from is danger. I guess not danger zones, but zones where people are leveling up at, or story mode missions. So it's easy to like know exactly where you're going. If you get a little lost, just follow the smoke. Now here is Lex Luthor's building. This is the tallest building in the game. Players will have parties on Lex Corp Tower, like at the pool area right there, or simply on top of the building. Like there's so many happening. Summer events, a lot of people will be there. It was just a good community experience when LexCorp Tower was like the big thing. Oh, you're going to LexCorp Tower? You're going to LexCorp? I don't know. And it'll be a bunch of players just on top of LexCorp Tower. Also, LexCorp had PvP mode, like it still does, called the PvP ring event. And it's where heroes and villains would be able to like fight each other without having to like be in a PvP server. So it's pretty cool. PvP servers are not a thing anymore. You kind of just toggle PvP. Well, there are, but not many people be in it. Honestly, the map is so big, we can be talking about it for days, but I just want to give y'all a general overview of how vast it is. This game put a lot of love into its map making for sure, and like it shows, like really does shows. Like there's even a lot of bosses that be all out and about, like Bizarro, and you can go fight them, and they're low level when you're like high level, so you one shot them, but it's still cool how it's like a living world. Like it's pretty amazing. Now with that being said, let's go into our next power, which is going to be Rage. Now Rage is the first pay to play power, and honestly, let's just get into it. Rage is the first pay-to-play power on the list. It's a tank class with medium DPS capabilities, unless it's PvP. Rage is also a combo power, which means some moves have multiple moves within it if you press a certain button. Overall, Rage Tank is a high difficulty to learn, and DPS utilizes combos, which makes it pretty mid PvE wise. Now on the PvP side of things, people could put people in stun lock so that wasn't able to heal, and a lot of other kind of cheat trolly builds, but that stuff was eventually fixed after a long time, but that is also part of its history. Let's get into the showcase. So like I was saying, Rage is a very combo heavy power, meaning that you have to keep continually moving to do a lot of damage. Now on the PvE side of things, Rage wasn't the strongest DPS, but it also was very just mid. It had like a mid line. There's a mechanic to where you have to, if you activate this rage thing, this rage power is going to give you increasing damage and shielding sometimes, but you have to use this finisher move before your heart explodes basically. Hence why it wasn't a good trade-off. Even tanking wise, it wasn't the best, but it was still optimal. So that's why rage is kind of like, is better for PvP essentially. PvP, it was just dogging people, especially when artifacts came out, because his finisher had 2 moves. So the artifact heals you if you use your finisher twice. If you use your finisher at all, it heals you. But because Rage had a combo aspect to it, it healed you twice, and it healed way stronger on the second finisher. So a lot of people just kind of went that route with Rage, exploit that for a long time. Hence why it's a PvP demon, even though that's kind of different nowadays because every power can be. Them trying something different with the Rage power, the Red Lantern's power, I actually appreciate, because the powers were never lackluster, but the ones you paid for, it felt like, I wouldn't say stronger, but it felt more unique. Because the aspect of you have to hear your heart stop beating, or right before it stopped beating, and use a finisher before you have to take damage, drawback damage. It's pretty cool power, especially when it first came out, that aspect of it. So I think they cook with Rage. Overall, I would give it an 8 out of 10. Again, not the best DPS, certainly not the worst, but not the best tank, certainly not the worst, but it's still on the higher end of things in PvP. And PvE is still good. Moving on from that, let's get into our second interview. Now, this interview is somebody from Reddit again. They're also trans and queer, so it's going to give a big perspective on how big the queer community is in this game. It's a game where you can create your own character. Pretty self-explanatory. With that being said, let's get into our second interview.
So my name is Marceline. I am a transgender woman, and my main character her name is Venus, and she's kind of a Supergirl inspired character. I ended up taking the power Mental just because I've been playing the game for quite a bit of time, and it was just one of the powers that I hadn't chosen for myself yet. She's kind of a DPS controller, but it's a role that I kind of flow between almost, or I try my best to, just to be a malleable part of any teams that I'm in.
Yeah, like you can switch, if you need to be DPS or troll, There's a lot of situations where you gotta switch in mid-battle sometimes.
Yeah. There was actually a raid I was involved in last night that was it was kind of difficult. There were a lot of the AI seemed to be targeting me a little bit. It was weird, but it's just a very cool experience to kind of live out a superhero fantasy in a MMO like that.
Of course. Oh my God, not the AI being transphobic. That's crazy.
Yeah.
For you.
They smelt it on me.
Honestly, interesting that you're a guest. Let's talk about that. The queer community on DC Universe Online, and there's a lot of older players who didn't even know. I grew up on the game, so I kind of realized as quick, a game that you can create any character that you want. Of course.
Yeah. It's just the amount of freedom you have to make your character and design them exactly how you want them to. It's just incredible. I recently joined the Reddit, and I've seen all the people building their characters, and there's so many styles and looks and things that I didn't even think were possible.
Right. Still to this day.
Yeah.
I thought we had it. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you. Back in the day, I'll dress up, I'll like to be a character. I was in Justice Kids or something, where it was the son of the Justice League, or the kids of the Justice League, and the styles were simple for that, right? But when you go into anime, you know what I'm saying, or something just super niche, people are so creative. There's some styles that you've never seen before, and they're just used in this anime style, Optimus Prime. I've never seen this in my life.
Yeah. I've one of my favorite places to visit is that one, I think I forget exactly which police station it is, but it's the one in Metropolis where there's usually a bunch of cosplayers and things lined up outside.
Little Bohemia.
It's just, yes, yeah.
Statue City.
It's the coolest place to be. It's just, it's so
Vibe.
strange, even for an MMO, because I don't know. I guess they're not as popular these days, so you don't really see people just going around and treating it as a social space anymore. A lot of I used to play World of Warcraft a little bit in high school.
Oh, you're the second person who said that.
Really,
Yes.
very cool. But it's just people usually play these games just to, go through complete quests and play it as any other video game, like an RPG. But to see DC Universe be such a social game, it's just not something I'm really used to. I'm only 21 years old, so I wasn't really around for the big times in MMOs back in the day. But it helps me get that experience that I missed.
Yeah, DC kind of feels like a fashion show sometimes.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, like I agree with what you said. Like, especially like I played City of Heroes growing up, but I was like 4,
Mhm.
so I didn't really get
Mm.
the social aspect. But now I had 2 older sisters, so my only like place to talk to other people were on the game, and that was not playing the Call of Duty, because you know how that is.
Yeah.
But DC Universe
Toxic.
Online, I met so many great people that I still talk to today. Like,
Mhm.
low-key kind of raised me a little bit in a way. Like, it's
Yeah.
kind of it can be a great space. I'm not gonna lie to you, I think majority is a great space. It's just the people who talk
Yeah.
too loud is the ones, just like a lot of communities are the annoying
Yeah.
ones.
It's interesting because I recently started playing again. I used to play it in middle school with one of my best friends. His name's Amari. But I've seen such a resurgence of people in the chat, and it's just through that you see the
Yeah.
kind of antithesis of the people who are just trying to, be social and be normal, and then all the people who are there to cause chaos and the like.
Yeah. Yep. Like, yeah, I just that simple. So obviously it's looked like you've been playing for a while. So
Yeah.
what is, you told us like you like the freedom to custom your outfit whichever way you want. What are the things that you like about the game?
The self-expression beyond the physical. I didn't used to like role play in video games and stuff like that, but I feel like whenever I'm playing DC Universe, I almost have no choice. It's like complete expression of myself in ways that I don't really process in my waking life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I noticed myself moving around and standing around like an NPC and not feeling weird about it. Things like that.
Yeah. Like, even I guess the culture of DC Universe Online, I do feel like it is different than other MMORPG in a lot of aspect,
Mhm.
because one thing that people play this game that are just MMORPG fans, right? But
Yeah.
majority are just superhero fans, right? So like
Yeah.
a lot of times when we're playing this game, when we make a character, we'll make an iconic character or inspired by a character, so we actually
Mhm.
feel like that character. Like, we want to get everything right. Like, we want all the moves to be accurate as possible and all this other stuff, and we know the person
Yeah.
we're playing with also wants the same thing. Like, they are just as nerd, or even more so. Like,
Yeah.
it's care. It's a lot of love and care into the game. Now, with that being said, what do you dislike about the game? And be so honest, because I just had the first interview and I already know a couple of things that probably is going to be a repeat.
Well, I guess for myself, I feel like the game, stat-wise, is complicated. And I know that's something a lot of people really enjoy about certain video games, but for someone like me, I just kind of throw things together and hope it works. That's just, it's not really a true criticism of the game itself, but more a, what is it? A disconnect between how I play and how it's designed.
Yeah, funny as you say that. You're like, yeah, but you know what's funny? Like most of the times, it's not even like you can put a bunch of stuff together and yeah, make something happen. But as you know, like rotations and stuff is more important. But nowadays, even rotations are like minuscule because if you just kind of have the rights, like the artifact powers and stuff like now, it's like it makes like the power irrelevant in a way, and it's kind of is like sad how we got to that point because stats are very difficult for new players. Like you
Yes.
don't know
Yeah. Seeing as I had come back to the game after quite a few years just recently, I would have to do genuine research to be able to participate in some of the higher level activities, which it's understandable. It's an MMO. It's just kind of built like that. But for me, it's something I don't really find myself having the time to do. But on the other hand, that's something that I still really love about DCUO because it's somehow still accommodating for someone like me with like the LFG system and the on-duty omnibus and things like that.
Yeah,
It's very cool.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, like it's the system for it. It's like a stack, like it's like math almost. Like you just had to be there, and like the new stuff now. Yeah, we can figure it out. But like watch this. The two new, I said this in the last interview. The two newest artifacts for like when people PvP, they don't have to move an inch and you kill yourself because everybody can reflect damage now. And guess what?
That's annoying.
You got 2 loadouts now. You can use up to 16 powers now. Not 16, 12. That is crazy.
Yeah.
It's a lot with the stats. But now, is there anything you wish that would change? Well, back when you were playing it.
It's not really something the devs can do about it, but I would really hope it would garner a larger community. I think that would fix so many of the, what I'd say, kind of minuscule problems of the game, where it can get difficult to find groups for things, or the game can sometimes feel empty in some of the social spaces. At least personally, it's strange because most of the servers always seem full, but I end up just kind of in an empty void.
Yeah. Like, I remember when I was a little younger, I would just go on top of Lex Loot the tower. Lo and behold, they had like 10 other people there. I'm like, wow. You know? It'll be like, you ever stop at somebody randomly, like on a random building, and you just like have a moment? Like, y'all just, it's so weird, but it's like, wow, we both like ended up here, like a place nobody really visits. Like the nuance of it. Like,
it really does make things feel like a comic book in a way. I was recently doing the Doomed Metropolis things, and I flew by somebody who was, or maybe it wasn't Doomed Metropolis, it was just in Metropolis, but there was like Captain Cold on top of a building and a guy standing there waiting to whoop him. And I was like, okay, that's real.
Yeah. But okay. But is there any interesting stories you got? Like,
yes. One of my favorites. My friend and I, we had I think it was a Joker villain, and we just went in there. We were doing our normal thing in Mr. Freeze mission. And by the end of it, he ended up dropping his cold backpack, and I took it very quickly. And it's just the amount of creativity in the things you can just kind of make up while you're playing the game, you know? Like, there's nothing written in the story that I stole Mr. Freeze's backpack, but I sure did.
Yep, and it's like, especially when you're in a raid, like not a raid, alert with like 4 people and y'all like kind of role play, like
Hmm.
something something I used to do. Do you remember the mission with Poison Ivy, Mr. Freeze, and Scarecrow? Arkham
I
Asylum.
don't I don't think so. I'm not sure I've done that one.
Okay, it's like a tier 2 alert or something like that.
Mhm.
But I would be like, I'll handle Poison Ivy. You have to finish Mr. Freeze, and you have to get Scarecrow,
Mhm.
and we'll let that person like get the last hit on them.
Yeah,
Waste so much time, but
but it's still cool to do.
exactly. Well, thank you for this interview. Like, this was great.
Of course. Thank you.
I really like this interview because it showed even like the more casual aspects of this game of just simply want to play a character that you like in the way that you want to. You don't have to do all these type of raids, be all high level. If you want to just hack and slash, go hack and slash. That was the fun of this game. You have so many options to do what you want to do. We used to play hide and seek in Gotham City. You know what I'm saying? Like, we made up games in this like probably any other MMORPG. And the space of this game being very queer heavy makes a lot of sense too. Hence there's a lot of problems that comes with that because there's a lot of homophobia on the game and like a lot of people who just don't care about these people and think that, oh, the game is doing too much for this space of community, which it's not. It's just like any other aspect of life. It's not like there's some creatures that nobody know. They're a big part of this game, and I'm pretty sure they appreciate this game showing and understanding them and also acknowledging that that's a big part of the game. Now, this game has been out for years, like decades at this point, and there's so much things to cover that I physically cannot do it all in one video. So I'm going to split it up into parts and probably keep it about 3 powers at a time, while also developing deeper into like going into missions, more locations, still more interviews, and just kind of keep it at that level so it doesn't become too overwhelming for myself because I still work and I'm in school, so I can't really dedicate all my effort into this. But I will love you guys' feedback. Oh, what would you want more to see? Who else should I interview? And literally any kind of feedback will be well. I truly hope you guys enjoyed this part 1 of this video, and I'm looking forward to making the second part way more interactive. I want this to be a community like love letter to the game. I don't want this game to just go out like the way that we kind of see it going with all the microtransactions and all this stuff and all the company taking over. I want at least have like a piece of media that we can go back to and kind of just reminisce. So if you want that too, or if you enjoy this content, please subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video. I hope you have a great day and enjoy the rest of this montage.